Week 16 of the fantasy football season. And here's a few wide receivers I have as sleepers this week. The first guy, Tavian Wix of the Green Bay Packers. So Wix out there in 93% of fantasy leagues, and he's starting to get more playing time over the last 3 weeks. Week 13 versus Kansas City, 3 catches, 43 yards. Week 14 at the Giants, 2 catches, 20 yards. And Week 15 versus the Bucs, best game of his career for the rookie, 6 catches, 97 yards. So this week, believe it or not, tougher matchup at the Panthers. I give up the second least amount of fantasy points to wideouts on the season, but Tavian Wix might get an expanded role in this one. Jada Reed banged up, and Watson, he's been banged up for multiple weeks now. And Wix is a guy who's starting to get more playing time, regardless if those guys were in or out of the lineup, becoming the third, fourth receiver in this lineup for this Green Bay Packer team. So right now, if he gets an expanded opportunity, especially if Watson and Reed are out, he's a wide receiver in deep leagues that could go out there and help fantasy owners, in my opinion. And like I said, available in 93% of fantasy leagues, and him and Jordan Love over the last few weeks have definitely built a rapport. The next wide receiver is Jamal Agholor, the Jacksonville Jaguars. So right now, Christian Kirk, we know he's been out multiple weeks already, and once again going to be out this week with the core injuries. A. Jones, he pulled up with a hamstring or a knee injury. We don't know if he's going to play in this game after last week. And Trevor Lawrence, concussion, might not even play in this one. So Jamal Agholor, he was down to one of their last guys active in the game last week, where he had 2 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. So we know Agnews a big-time speed guy. He could make some big plays, and they've used him in the past in different roles as a route runner or even a sweep type of formations. But this week, a decent matchup, believe it or not, at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that give up the 4th most fantasy points to wide receivers on the season. So right now, I know they got Calvin Ridley still there in the lineup. They got Parker Washington, the rookie wide receiver, is this Jacksonville Jaguar team. But right now, like I said, at worst case, he'll be the number 3 wide receiver. Zay Jones is out in this game. So right now, Agnew available in 99% of leagues, and the third and final wide receiver I have as a sleeper is Devonte Parker, the New England Patriots. So Devonte Parker, he returned to the lineup, but it's always been a thing with Parker. 1 game in, 1 game out, it seems like. But the last 3 out of 4 games, he's actually gone out there and made some plays. Week 12 at the Giants, 3 catches, 42 yards. Week 13 versus the Chargers, 4 catches, 64 yards on 9 targets. Week 14, he didn't play. And then Week 15 versus the Chiefs, 5 catches, 55 yards. So right now, tough matchup at the Broncos, where their pass defense has gotten better, up to 7th least amount of fantasy points to wide receivers. But right now, there's not much going on at the wide receiver position over there in New England. Most of the games, they're trailing early and often. And at least Bailey Zappe's a quarterback that's been able to get the football down the field and make this half competent over the last few weeks. So right now, if you need a sleeper, Parker available in 98% of fantasy leagues. That's a few wide receivers I have as sleepers here for Week 16 of the fantasy football season.